The ballpark, and again we're celebrating the 30th anniversary of the 1984 championship Tigers, and it's always a pleasure to be joined by Dave Bergman, who was a big part of that championship team. David, and right now we're talking about how incredible it is to be on that infield and see all these people in these seats. It's kind of overwhelming, isn't it?
It really is. After all these years, these people still remember our team, 1984, and there were so many comments today in the Q&A at the concourse on how much the fans really meant to us, and that's so true. It really was. I mean, they were absolutely incredible night after night.
But Dave, you're one of few. I mean, because most guys, I mean, they come to a city, then they go back to their respective hometowns, and they don't really have anything to do with that particular city other than during the baseball season. But you actually moved here, and you've been here year-round for a number of years, haven't you?
I moved here after the 1984 season and been here ever since. In fact, I bought a home thinking that I would only be here for about 3 or 4 years because I was on basically a 3 or 4 year program. After the 3rd or 4th year, I was gone. They figured out I couldn't play and they traded me someplace else. But it didn't work that way here in Detroit, and I was very thankful for that. Got a chance to play my last 9 years here, retire here, and I'm trying to be very active in the community and trying to be good to some of the kids, and
you are.
See what happens.
And mine is one of them, and I do appreciate that. It was good for him to play in your organization. But you know, Dave, I know that you love giving back to the community, and certainly this community appreciated you. But when you think back to that '84 season, the one thing obviously that all people want to talk about is the at-bat against the Toronto Blue Jays, the 13-pitch at-bat, and we want to go back to that because obviously that had to be one of the things you really remember about that year.
Well, I'm almost forced to remember it. Because that's what people want to talk about, but I'm very thankful that they do, because I'm sure we can go back and find out when I struck out with the bases loaded. So as Rod can tell you, sometimes it's better to be lucky than good, or be at the right place at the right time, or however you want to say it. And fortunately, that's what people remember me about. And, I'm very thankful for that.
You know, when you came to the Tigers at the tail end of the spring that year,
Jackson lifting this one to right field for out number 1.
Did you know much about the Tigers overall as a team? Sparky Anderson, many of the players, obviously it was a great team, but did you know a lot about the team before you came over at the tail end of spring training that season?
Rod, all I can tell you is that they were good. That's all I knew, because they had a real good season in '83. I knew about Sparky Anderson because he was in the National League when I was there. Of course, I knew Darrell Evans and Larry Herndon, and both of those guys were like, I don't want to call them mentors for me when I was in San Francisco, because I was a little bit more veteran than that, but just great role models. Larry Herndon was very quiet, led by example, and Darrell Evans was a little bit more vocal. And of course, I played against Jack Morris and Lance Parrish and Tommy Brookins in winter baseball, so I had a little bit of knowledge about the club, but I really had no idea what I was getting myself into, and boy, I really enjoyed the ride, that's for sure.
Dave, what makes a good pinch hitter? Because obviously you excelled at it in the big leagues. In your mind, it's a difficult job, I would assume. What makes it so tough, and what makes a good pinch hitter?
I think being mentally prepared and never giving into failure. There's a lot of failure in the game, and if you let pinch hitting determine how your mental ego is going to be, it can really eat you up. And if you do make an out, you've got to learn from that out, and you got to be prepared the next day. You can't let it go from one day to the other, and there's no excuses as a pinch hitter. You know, sometimes you might go a week without getting in a bat, and the next thing you know, you're hitting in the 9th inning against the best reliever and pitcher, and if you make an out, you made an out. So you got to figure out ways to keep yourself prepared.
Ian Kinsler to the batter here with 2 outs in the 3rd.
What's your take on this 2014 Tiger squad, Dave?
Well, it's pretty simple. I'm going to tell the listeners, go to www.sigmainvestments.com, go to publications, and look at my newsletter that I wrote for our clients that is titled From Snowballs to Baseballs, and that'll give you an analysis at that time of what I thought the club looked like. But I will tell your listeners that my last comment was, enjoy the season. I would suggest that you think about buying your World Series tickets now.
Wow. So you feel they do have that potential?
I absolutely do. I like the fact that they've got some pop in the lineup. I like the fact that they've got some speed in the lineup. I'm hoping that this defense will start to come around a little bit. We all have confidence that the starting pitching staff is going to become rock solid, hopefully from here to the remainder of the season. And as far as I'm concerned, that's a pretty good combination.
Kinsler batting here with 2 outs in a scoreless game. Kazmir's 0-2. It's floated into right field. That thing is sinking, and it's going to drop base hit. Kinsler will hold up with a 2-out single.
Talk about Sparky Anderson for a moment, and how influential was he for you in your career after you became a Tiger?
I walked into the Joker Marching Stadium when I was traded, and I think there was only about a week left of spring training. He called me into his office, and he says, "Are you ready to get 250 at bats this year?" And I made him repeat it. I said, "Excuse me?" He says, "Are you ready to get 250 at bats?" And I said, "Absolutely." I said, "Sparky, I got to tell you, a manager's never said that to me before. I never knew if I was going to get 5 at bats or 300 at bats or whatever the case may be." Now, that being said, Frank Robinson played me, and but he never said that, you know, I'm going to guarantee that you're going to get 250 at bats.
You're talking about 250 at bats with Darrell Evans as the first baseman.
Well, you know, Darrell played third, DH. Sparky moved us around, and you know, he threw me out in the outfield back then a little bit, and so he made sure that we got our at bats, and I was certainly thankful for that. In fact, my first at bat as a Tiger, I popped out foul territory 3 times against the Minnesota Twins. I didn't even have to get out of the batter's box, and I said, "Well, I'm going to be seeing the pine for about a week." And I maybe even played the next day. I don't remember.
Well, you had a chance to play for Sparky. Obviously, Brad Ausmus, no managing experience, but he seems to have a really good grasp on what that job is all about.
He's a very cerebral manager. He's very, very calm. There was a period of time, though, I would have liked to have seen him come unglued, maybe, just to kind of see if we can get something going here. But that's just not his style, and I don't know Brad very well. Just maybe enough to say hello. I don't know a lot about his personality. You guys obviously know him a heck of a lot better than I do. But that even keel is really a good trait to have as a manager.
No balls, 1 strike on Miguel Cabrera. We're talking with Dave Bergman of the 1984 champion Tigers, who are being celebrated here tonight, the 30th anniversary of the '84 Tigers. And they got him picked off. Kinsler on his way to second. Ball is dropped at first by Vogt, and he'll get in there safely. Put a runner in scoring position now for the Tigers.
That'll be the second steal of the evening for the Detroit Tigers. Kinsler gets 1. Castellanos also got 1. Kinsler just kept going. And Voigt couldn't make the transfer out of the glove to get the ball to second base, and Kazmir a little bummed about that.
Vogt was a late defensive switch. He's playing first base. They flip-flopped with Moss. Moss is out in right field, so that comes into play in this game. Vogt dropped the baseball.
He's one of those guys that's very versatile that we were talking about that Bob Melvin has at his disposal. He started 1 game in right field, played first base, and he also caught in the same game.
What is your take, Dave, on the guy at the plate right now in Miguel Cabrera?
I'm going to go on record as saying he might be one of the top 5 best hitters that's ever played the game.
Probably wouldn't get many arguments.
No, not from me.
And I will go on record saying that, in my opinion, he's the best hitter in baseball today. He's got tremendous balance, hits to all fields, got great power. You very seldom see him take a bad swing. And the thing that I'm the most impressed with him is that he has fun and he works very hard at the game.
That'll get fouled down the right field line.
And he works probably harder on defense than he does on offense. And think about this. He's a superstar. We've already got him pretty well pegged for the Hall of Fame. If the Tigers ask him to play third, he'll play third. Play left, he'll play left. He doesn't care. Whatever's best for the team.
He just wants to play. He's always got that smile on his face. He absolutely loves playing this game.
Of course, you know what, Rod? You can relate to this. You're as good as he is. You're going to have fun playing this game.
Dave, we appreciate it. Thanks so much for coming on with us. Congratulations again on the celebration tonight, and thank you very much.
Thanks so much for having me, guys.
All right. 84 champ Dave Bergman. The last out of the 84 championship. Larry Herndon comes in to make the running catch, and the party began.